Everyone in our village knew the name Arundhati, but no one spoke it loudly after sunset. It wasn't fear at first, not the kind you feel immediately. It was discomfort, the kind that settles quietly in your chest when you sense something is wrong, but can't explain why. Arundhati was a woman once, or at least that's how the elders described her, but by the time I heard her story, she was something else entirely, something that lived between shadow and desire, hunger and patience. I first heard about her when I returned to the village after years away. My grandmother had passed, leaving her old house empty, and I had come to settle matters and sell the land. The house stood at the edge of the forest, just where the trees began to grow unnaturally close together. The air there felt heavier, thicker, as if sound itself didn't travel properly. On my first night back, while unpacking, I noticed scratch marks on the wooden door frame. Deep ones, too deep to be accidental. That night, I dreamed of a woman standing beneath the trees. She wore a red sari, bright against the dark forest, her long black hair loose over her shoulders. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, glowing faintly in the moonlight. She smiled at me, a slow, knowing smile, and raised her hand as if inviting me closer. I woke up with my heart pounding and the smell of damp earth filling the room. The next morning, an old neighbor warned me not to wander near the forest after dusk. When I asked why, she hesitated before saying Arundhati's name, her voice barely above a whisper. She told me Arundhati had been wronged decades ago, betrayed, abandoned, and left to die in the forest. But hatred kept her alive long enough to turn her into something that fed on attention, on desire, on those who looked at her for too long. At night, strange things began happening. I would hear footsteps circling the house, soft and slow, as if someone was walking barefoot on wet soil. Sometimes I heard humming, a low, distorted tune that seemed almost comforting until you realized it had no rhythm. When I looked out the window, I would see her reflection in the glass, standing behind me. Even though the room was empty, she started appearing in my waking hours too, just glimpses at first. A red shape between the trees. A woman standing too still on the road. Once, I saw her in the mirror behind me, her face closer than it should have been, her eyes wide and hungry. When I turned around, there was nothing there except the echo of her smile burned into my mind. The villagers said Arundhati doesn't chase. She waits. She enters slowly, through dreams, through curiosity, through loneliness. She feeds on attention. The more you think about her, the closer she gets. And by then, it's already too late. On the seventh night, the forest went silent. No insects. No wind. I felt her presence before I saw her. She stood at the edge of the yard, her fingers unnaturally long, bent in ways human joints shouldn't allow. Her face was beautiful in a broken way, but her eyes, those eyes, held nothing human. When she spoke my name, her voice was layered, as if multiple throats were speaking at once. She stepped closer, and I realized her shadow didn't match her movements. It stretched toward me even as she stood still. The smell of earth returned, stronger than before. I tried to run, but my body felt heavy, unresponsive, as if the ground itself wanted to keep me there. She told me she only wanted to be seen, that everyone else had forgotten her, that she rewards those who listen. Her hand reached out, fingers twitching eagerly. Behind her, the forest seemed to bend inward, closing like a mouth. I don't remember escaping. I only remember waking up at sunrise, lying outside the house, dirt under my nails and blood on my palms. The forest edge had moved closer overnight. Trees that weren't there before now stood just meters from the door. I left the village that day and never returned. But sometimes, late at night, I see her reflection in dark screens. Still smiling, still waiting, because Arundhati never truly lets you go.